Hello, and welcome to Real Takes.
And Movie Breaks.
I'm Michael.
I'm Kimberly, and today we are reviewing the film
Nosferatu.
This will be our spoiler review. So if you don't want spoilers, check out the link in our description where we won't give anything away. This review will go into a little more depth, what we liked, what we didn't like, and possible ideas of how to improve the film. So if you love movie reviews and reactions, please subscribe to our channel. Click that notification bell so you never miss another review.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it.
So what I liked about the movie is I like the atmosphere, I like the music, I like the setup, I like the gothic style. Always like Robert Eggers' style, his visual style, the cinematography. I do think the acting is good, and I do like vampire, Dracula, Nosferatu films, which is a 102-year-long running genre.
Mm-hmm. I love the art direction. I like the camera work, the cinematography, the costuming, and the musical score. All the performances were solid. Willem Dafoe's performance is my favorite. I enjoyed that one the most, but all the performances I thought were solid.
And I got into this in the no spoiler review, and it's the thing I don't like is the character sort of. I just don't like the journey of the characters in this film. I just feel like it starts off with dread, and then by the end we're at really, really dreadful. And I think there are issues to me that are like, I think we need some levity. We need we need to kind of like these people.
Yeah.
We need to really kind of feel like, oh no, well that's tragic, or you know, like there has to be, instead of like just I'm having nightmares. Yes, we're having a nightmare too. Tell me about it. And then just bad things happen to them. You know, it's like in Jaws. Mm-hmm. You have to like these people and then throw them out on the boat and then have bad stuff happen to them. You know, and I think that that's where I really have an issue. And then I don't think the Nosferatu is very scary. I don't think the character is very scary.
To piggyback off of what you're saying, I would have loved to see the two main characters, played by Johnny Depp's daughter, Lily Depp, and Nicholas Hoult. I think they're both good actors, but I didn't see them really show. To me, it didn't seem like they were genuinely in love and happy together, because it starts with her waking up from a nightmare where she's already disturbed. So how much more disturbed can she go? It didn't really give her, like you were saying, it didn't give her an arc, because she starts out all disturbed. And it didn't seem like she really loved him. It just seemed like she had serious codependency and obsession. I have to have you write me every day. Like, that doesn't seem like love. That seems like unhealthy codependent obsession to me. So I think the movie would have been more emotionally impactful if I really believe that they were deeply, truly in love, and we see them share some happy, joyful, sweet moments. That would have allowed me to want to really root for them more. So I didn't really get that.
Yeah. And
I really like Willem Dafoe's character, because there were moments, and I think it's just because he's a great actor, he found the humor himself. He delivered the lines in a way that made you laugh just a little bit.
I think he found the life.
Yeah.
I'm not even really sure it's the humor.
Yeah.
He found a real richness to the person. And I think it's because he engages with the language so much.
Yeah.
He loves the language. He loves that script. He picks it up. He's like, oh, I can have this whole character that smokes his pipe when he's distraught, or has this sort of, it's a theatricality. Mm-hmm. And it's from his years with the Wooster Group and everything that he did before, and then he became this actor that we all know. The other characters, like Nicholas Hoult, here's my impression of Nicholas Hoult's performance in this film. Oh, I love you.
Here's my impression of the girl.
We're gonna get married, though.
Nosferatu made love to me more passionately than you did.
And that stuff's cool. Those little breakdowns and everything, those little exorcist moments. So even the Exorcist. I was thinking about the movie, the original Exorcist. One of the reasons that the original Exorcist works so well is because we have this slow descent with the mother and the daughter, and we see them interacting as a real mother and daughter, and they're laughing and joking and blah blah blah.
The
blah,
relationship's
blah, blah.
believable.
Or Rosemary's Baby. There's a whole happiness to their life, and then bad things happen to them. I think we needed to see Nicholas Hoult and Johnny Depp's daughter have this really true to form romance where we really believe that they're in love. Mm-hmm. We don't have that. What we have is a little bit more of a formal I'm going to go off and get us a house, dear. Bye bye. And it's like, I hope that guy dies. There wasn't. Now after that, I enjoy the whole thing with the gypsies when he goes to the village. I enjoy that whole section. I thought that was cool. I like anything that expands the mythology and the lore. So those kinds of things I enjoy just because it creates suspense and it was interesting. I love the stuff at the castle, like him riding up to the castle. We watched Legend, mm-hmm. right? There were some similar things from Legend that were in this.
I kept saying, I had a thought when I was watching this movie. It feels like Nicholas Hoult if Tom Cruise and what was his name? I had a good one.
Yeah, no, Guy Pearce.
Yes. If Tom Cruise... I said this in the theater. I whispered to him, if Tom Cruise and Guy Pearce had a baby, that would be Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of reminding me of Tom Cruise in Legend a little bit. But he also kind of has similar mannerisms, I think, to Guy Pearce.
But it's the same story. Because in Legend, it's darkness, the devil, and he's trying to seduce the girl.
It is the same story.
And then the guy has to save the girl. It's a classic story. Basically all through... these old kind of grimdark stories, and then we get to this vampire legend, this Dracula legend. Now Bram Stoker wrote the novel, and there is I remember watching the '92 Dracula film, mm-hmm. where basically Keanu Reeves is playing this part, and then you have Gary Oldman play the Dracula character, sort of the Vlad the Impaler, but that goes all the way back into his whole history and how he became the eternal cursed vampire that's searching for his long lost love, Winona Ryder in that film, and now it's Johnny Depp's daughter. And I think that that story is interesting. Mm-hmm. I like that story. I like this version of that story, but I also am sort of left the whole thing is just so. They use the phrase in the film melancholy. And I'm feeling very melancholy too.
I had an idea for how to improve the ending. This is just my take as an award-winning filmmaker. I think the ending would have been more satisfying if we see her have a moment of joy, knowing that she defeated him and sacrificed herself for the people she cares about. If we could see the joy and the look of satisfaction on her face. We don't see that. We just see her it almost looks like she's numb or she's vapid at the end, which I did not enjoy. It didn't feel satisfying. Okay, victory. We've beat the bad guy. Even though I had to sacrifice myself, I did this out of love. No, it just stayed all doom and gloom to me.
Just doom.
And so I think that would have been a way to kind of improve the ending. Also, if they didn't show the sex scene the way they did it, if they didn't show as much of it, showing him on top of her with her hands coming around him and then her breasts and then him sucking the blood, I think if they had filmed that in a different way with a little more shadow, not actually seeing the gore, but sometimes what you don't see is more terrifying, more interesting. So I think if they had shot that differently, to sort of suggest that she's in control, she's made this decision because she wants to sacrifice herself for the people she loves. So she's coming out on top. And it didn't feel that way. It felt like she's giving up versus coming out on top.
So in all of like cinema, I feel like a lot of storytelling, novels and what have you, there is sort of this trope of there's a woman who is in touch with some sort of supernatural force, but she's in conflict because it's in direct conflict with the real life person she's in love with. And there's this wrestling match that happens in the story, and either the woman dies or something tragic happens, or she gets saved, or the man dies, or whatever. She's got to be in love with the Nicholas Hoult character, or like there has to be a strong feeling of like something that stakes. Mm-hmm. That's where the stakes live, is in that sort of relationship, because the whole thing with her and Nosferatu becomes this conflict with that, where she has to, but she's also in conflict herself because she has this shame about how she actually feels for Nosferatu, right? But then she also has to exploit that in order to save people. Like, so that's all there, but it's also, I just don't buy the love story with her and Nicholas Hoult at all. I just don't think that there's anything there.
It didn't feel like love.
Other than what's in the script.
Yeah, it didn't feel like real love to me.
Is it supposed to be? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's supposed to be.
I'm
not even sure if that's what the choice they went with.
The movie didn't scare me per se. It just made me cringe and like gross me out. Like, for instance, like the kissing scene between her and Nosferatu. It just grossed me out. It wasn't like, oh, this is scary. It's like, ew. Like, I kept looking at you and being like, ew.
That's the thing. That's another issue I have, is they weren't really trying to scare us. They were trying to gross us out and make us feel awful.
What's the point of that?
And make us feel dreadful. Yeah. And so, like, okay, this is... and then the excuse is... But that's what Nosferatu is. You're supposed to feel that way, right? And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I actually think the original silent film is extremely haunting. It's well done. It's this sort of this gothic, almost dreamlike thing, and they do that well at parts. I'm not saying that they don't do all of that stuff well, like when he's in the castle and it feels like a dream, that stuff. But the original novel, Dracula, it's done with the letters, that are going back and forth, and that's kind of all we're getting is these letters. So we, the reader, are kind of not clear about what's actually really going on, because we're kind of getting these different POVs to kind of piece the story together. That would be really cool if someone actually made a film that was accurate to that.
That's what I was going to ask you, because you're coming from this perspective of having read the books.
Yeah.
So which books did you read?
Dracula.
So you wrote...
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay, so that's the book you read. So how did the movie compare? Like,
it's not as good. I mean, this is Nosferatu. This is the German expressionistic sort of adaptation of Dracula, but it's also a remake of that, which is 102 years old. Mm-hmm. The original Dracula, you could actually, I think, make that movie and just make that movie straight up. Based off of... No, I'm not talking about the Francis Ford Coppola version, which is fun. But I'm talking about, like, actually, like, sort of make this almost cryptic, mysterious sort of version that Bram Stoker did. And I almost feel like you could do it in such a way where it's, like, even maybe unclear if Dracula is real or not. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you could... There's a version out there I feel like you could do of this that's actually more that's less mainstream and more kind of like, whoa, this is really bizarre stuff, but very intriguing.
I would probably enjoy that more if filmmakers created their own original take of the story instead of just replicating what's already been done. So did you enjoy the book more or this movie?
The book stays with you forever.
Yeah.
These movies are nice and everything, and I love vampire films. But I was telling Kimberly after the film, I was like, I like Fright Night better than this movie.
I do too. It's funny
because and it follows the same formula. There's the girl, there's the hero, there's the Van Helsing guy, there's the Renfield guy that remember the guy that turns into the dog or whatever. Like it follows all of the same beats.
Yeah.
But the guy who played Dracula is fantastic.
Yes.
And he's horrible too. Remember when he like turns into the vampire? There's this sort of demonic, satanic witch, and that's one of the things that this film taps into is like the witchcraft and the sort of the satanic lore, with the gypsies and everything, and all the stuff about the grave site. And the rats and going in and raiding the tomb and all of that stuff, and all the stuff that Willem Dafoe's character is kind of going on about, and it's similar to like the Max von Sydow's character in The Exorcist. You need that stuff, right? And I think that this film has look. There's a lot of people that are going to really like this movie. That's not lost on me. I understand. You like this film, enjoy it, go to town with it. I'm just kind of giving my nitpicks because I'm such a fan of the genre, of the whole thing.
Yeah.
If I were to make this movie, it would be very difficult. And I would like to make it, I would like to just go back, do it black and white. Do it...
Like The Lighthouse?
Yeah, but do it classic, very mythic, gothic, mysterious... Take all of the best plot beats of this one, use that stuff, get rid of all of the melodramatic stuff from this, bring in a more of a mystery and more like just really alive characters that are kind of like going through this bizarre dreamlike thing. And
you would cast Robert Pattinson and who else?
Yeah, I think Pattinson would have been much better as the Jonathan Harker. I can't remember what the character's name in this is that Holt plays, but it's the Jonathan Harker character. And they were supposed to get on Taylor-Joy to play the girl. I think that would have been fine. But, in the Werner Herzog version, it's Isabella Johnny, I believe, that plays the girl, and she actually looks just like this girl. And it's very similar. But I actually like Willem Dafoe as Nosferatu. The best.
Yeah.
He actually played him in the Shadow of the Vampire. But I mean, I would try to make it all like where you barely see Dracula, Nosferatu, you barely see the vampire, and you have more of this sort of amorphous sort of storytelling that's just very haunting, eerie, and darker forces behind it. That they try to kind of do that with like the guy who's the lunatic, It's all very obvious, though. With the pentangle and him naked with the candles and everything. That whole scene was like...
Yeah, it was so cheesy. We like laughed at it. We were like, oh my goodness, okay.
Did you ever see the Blair Witch Project?
Yeah.
So in the Blair Witch Project, it's kind of interesting the way that movie's done because at the beginning they're making a documentary about the Blair Witch and they interview people, and the people they're interviewing seem kind of sinister and like they might kind of be behind some of the stuff that happens to them later.
Right.
And that's really well done, and it's done in a way where you the viewer can't see everything that's going on. So it's actually extremely scary in the moment. Way
scarier, yeah.
Because of what you don't see. That's kind of how I would approach this type of story.
Cool, yeah. Well, comment below. Let us know your thoughts and what you would rate the film if you've already seen it. Hopefully this helped you process it a little bit. I would rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, a 2 out of 5, just because the cinematography is really beautiful and the acting is solid.
I give it a 3.
So let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. And if there are any movies you'd like us to review or react to, comment below. We are always open to your suggestions. And
in the meantime, stay real.
Yeah, and if you want to watch this on Christmas like we did, maybe if you just had too much Christmas cheer and you need the opposite, then go see this movie.
Go see it with friends.
Yeah, it was fun watching it with friends. I will say that.
There's snow in it.
There is snow. There's a mention of Christmas too. But yeah, only go see it if you just want the antithesis of Christmas Hallmark movies. And now I'm actually going to make him watch a Hallmark movie with me.
We're going to watch a Hallmark Christmas
to
movie.
counteract all the dreariness. But thanks for watching and stay real.
Have great takes.